KA Bullets YouTube channel.
Hurry up, now tell us why you're here.
This rookie is Ryan Newcar, and he's the only rookie this season. And the 19 car is now Jeremy Carfield. Then you're probably asking, what number is Casey Cartwood? Well, now he's the number 7. And Kevin Carvick has a new look in the black and gray. Kajima Mikino is now red and white, not sponsored by the Nintendo GameCube. And Slide Park is still out for 8 more races! Chevrolet Motorsports is exactly the same as last season. Same with Alloy Wilson Racing, Rush Racing, the Pit Stops Revolting Crew, Speedson Racing. But since Ron Blaster retired, Randy Revkins will take his place at Blaster Charger Racing. Pancake Shift Right Racing has the rookie Ryan Newcar. Then you're probably asking, where's Jeremy Carfield? Well, he went to Riverham Motorsports, and Casey Cartwood's gone. DEI after the death of Dale Earnhardt. Now, the owner of DEI is Dale Earnhardt's wife, Teresa Earnhardt. Every other team is still exactly the same, except for Richard Chillpaints Racing, who have added Robbie Gorvette to be the second car on the team. And the king is still the king! Chick Hicks would lead the first 9 laps, where Murray Clutchburn would take the lead from him on lap 9, but then Chick Hicks is third as of lap 10, where Murray Clutchburn, the leader, Kevin Shiftright, Terry Carboni, Mark Burnsley, and Tony Gaswart are out! And now the king would take the lead for 12 laps before Chick Hicks is 5th as of lap 23, where he crashes Bobby Carboni, Casey Cartwood, Ruby Easy Oaks, Kevin Carvick, Jeremy Carfield, Joe Brakecheck, Kenny Shiftright, and Kajima Mikino. They're all out because of the mean green car. Bill Racelot would take the lead all the way until lap 65, where Krusty Rotor would take the lead for 11 laps after that until lap 76, where now he's out because of Chick Hicks, who leads for 302 laps. How does any car lead for that long? Especially Chick Hicks! Eugene Komareski is 20th as of lap 379, where Ken Schrader goes airborne on that lap! And now Bill Racelot would take the lead for 8 laps after the restart, but then Chick Hicks is 10th as of lap 387, where Jerry Nadrive, Clint Speed, who's out for the season, Matt Karzith, and Ricky Sludd are all out! And now the king would take the lead for 9 laps until Jeff Gorvette would take the lead from him, where he'd lead until lap 407, where the rookie Ryan Newcar would take the lead until lap 446, where Sterling Carlin would take the lead from him. On lap 475, Jeff Gorvette will retake the lead, but he only lead 2 laps before he'd lose the lead to Kurt Buschtire. And Kurt Buschtire would lead for 12 laps before the king would take the lead from him. The king would only lead 4 laps before Sterling Carlin would take the lead from him. Sterling Carlin would lead 4 laps before Chick Hicks is second as of lap 498. And it's a red flag, and Johnny Blamer's out for 5 races. Sterling Carlin went to tire fight Chick Hicks under the red flag. But since you're not allowed to move under the red flag, Sterling Carlin was moved to the back of the pack, which gave Ward Burnton the lead. Ward Burnton would lead for 1 lap before Chuck Armstrong would make a last lap pass to win the 2002 Florida 500. And here is the top 20 of the 2002 Florida 500.
the notifications button, which goes ring, ring, ring after you press it. And lightning strikes back, and that's as if you subscribed, of course. And thank you for watching this entire video.
You're probably wondering, why was Chick Hicks not suspended? Well, he had never caused a red flag before. So, he wasn't suspended, but instead docked 50 points. Which means that he earns 50 points less than what he would have if he had not caused the red flag. But, let's hope that Chick Hicks does not cause any more trouble for the rest of the season. The 2002 Piston Cup races 2 to 35 Part 1 will be coming out very soon.
KA Bullets YouTube channel.
Hurry up, now tell us why you're here.
The King will start at pole position for the second race where Chick Hicks wrecks 12 cars, but Will Draft Rev is out for 2 seasons because of Kyle Traxon, who will be suspended for the rest of the season. Matt Karzith would be first with 5 to go, and now the race under caution, but he will win the second race nonetheless. Bill Racelot will start at pole position for the third race where hooray! Chick Hicks did not wreck any cars, and Bill Gears would be out because of Sterling Collin. Why? And Billy Oil Changer would lead the most laps with 144, but it wouldn't be enough to stop Chick Hicks from winning the third race at his home track. But the crowd booed him. Well, it's Chick Hicks. Bill Racelot would once again start at pole position, but this time for the fourth race where Chick Hicks wrecks 17 cars, and Aiken Axler is out for 10 races, which means that Andrew Axler will be back for 10 races after the fourth race. And also, the King would almost win the fourth race, but in the end, Tony Gasworth would beat him to the line to win the fourth race. Ricky Carvin would get the pole for the fifth race, but Chick Hicks wrecks 14 cars, and Claude Scruggs seems to be very angry about it. Well, of course. And Sterling Carlin would win the fifth race. The sixth race has Chick Hicks once again starting at the pole, and he wrecks more cars! 15 of them this race, but Eugene Carbareski is out because of Ken Schrader. Well, of course this happens, but Chick Hicks only loses by 6 feet to the King. Hooray! The King wins the sixth race, and Chick Hicks is complaining that he keeps losing. Misty Motocross will start at pole position for the seventh race where Claude Scruggs would go into the catch fence because of Chick Hicks. Why? And Mark Carton would be first as of the last lap, but the King passes him to win the seventh race. Kevin Karvik will be suspended for the eighth race because of reckless racing. Kenny Wheelhouse will replace him for the one race. You're probably asking, where's Slide Park? Hooray! Slide Park is back! But who's the pole sitter? Jeff Gorvette is. And you'll start at pole position for the eighth race where Chick Hicks wrecks 16 cars, and Ryan Thunderbolt Jr. would be out because of Manny Flywheel. Hooray! But Sammy Smelter is out because of a stinky carburetor. But Bobby Carboni would go on to win the eighth race of 2002. And Tony Gasworth had something to say about Sammy Smelter. Kevin Shiftright would start at pole position for the ninth race where Chick Hicks would wreck 17 cars, but Jeff Burnton would jump over Chick X to avoid the wreck, but Darren Leadfoot would lead the most laps with 168, but Hollingus would only lose by 10 feet to Billy Oil Changer, who ends up winning the 9th race of 2002. Chick X is the pole sitter again for the 10th race, where he wrecks more cars! 16 of them. And Sterling Carlin would almost win the 10th race, but in the end, Mark Carton would win the 10th race of 2002. The 11th race has Jeff Gorvette starting at the pole, but Chick X would wreck 19 cars! But Robbie Gorvette would have trouble entering pit lane. And Kurt Buschtire will get his very first win, the 11th race of 2002. But it starts a rivalry between himself and Jimmy Speedcar. Todd Marcus will start at pole position for the 12th race, where he's out on the first lap because of Chick X. But Dale Earnhardt Jr. would almost win the 12th race, but in the end, Tony Gasworth would beat him to the line to win the 12th race of 2002. Sterling Carlin would start at pole position for the 13th race, where Chick X wrecks 16 cars. But Ricky Sludd would be out on the last lap. But luckily for Ricky Sludd, his teammate Dale Carr would go on to win the 13th race. Chick X gets another pole for the 14th race, where Todd Marcus wrecks 24 cars. And Hollingus is now out for the season. But Chick X had this to say. Of course he said that. And also, the King would almost win the 14th race, but in the end, Dale Earnhardt Jr. would win the 14th race. Turner will replace Hollingus for the rest of the season. Dale Carr will start at pole position for the 15th race, where Chick X would wreck 16 cars, including Mac Icar, who says Chick X does not deserve any Apple computers. Krusty Rotor would lead the most laps with 92, but it wouldn't be enough to stop Matt Karzith from winning the 15th race. And Matt Karzith agrees with Mac Icar, saying that Chick X does not deserve Apple computers. Ryan Newcar will start at pole position for the 16th race, where Chick X wrecks 15 cars. And now Ken Schrader is out because of Eugene Karbareski. Well, of course this happened, and Kevin Karvik will only lose by 2 feet to Chick X, who wins the 16th race. But the crowd once again boos Chick X. Rusty Wheelhouse will start at pole position for the 17th race, where Chick X wrecks 13 cars. And Billy Oil Changer would lead the most laps with just 28, but it wouldn't be enough to beat Tony Gasworth, who wins the 17th race. And Kevin Karvik will start at the pole for the 18th race, where Billy Oil Changer would get flipped by Chick X. Why? And Dale Cart would be out with 25 to go because of a hard crash. And Joe Brakecheck is also out because of an even harder crash. But Michael Cartrip would win the 18th race, his second win ever. And Tony Gasworth would start at the pole for the 19th race, where Chick X wrecks 15 cars before Chuck Armstrong would lead the most laps with 165. But Bill Racelot would win the 19th race pretty easily, and he'd start at the pole for the 20th race. How? But that green car Chick X is still up to his old tricks, wrecking 15 cars before Bill Racelot would lead the most laps with 301. How? and Billy Oil Changer would lose by 10 feet to Bill Racelot, who would win 2 in a row, winning the 20th race of 2002. Murray Cotchburn would start at pole position for the 21st race, where he's T-boned by Chick Hicks! Why? And the King would lead the most laps with only 61. But Kevin Karvik would go on to win the 21st race. The King starts at the pole again for the 22nd race, where Chick Hicks causes no cautions. And there are no cautions at any point in the race. Hooray! And Tony Gasworth would only lose by 5 feet to Dale Earnhardt Jr., who wins the 22nd race. Chick Hicks is suspended because he cheated! Darren Leadfoot would start at pole position for the 23rd race before Manny Flywheel would lead the most laps with 71, but Eugene Carbareski is out because of Ken Schrader. Well, of course this happened, but Kevin Shiftwright almost won his first race, but in the end, Billy Oil Changer would win his 6th race, the 23rd race of 2002, and Krusty Rotor would start at the pole for the 24th race, where Kajimo Mikno would actually lead the most laps with 161. But he's out because of Todd Marcus! Why do you wreck other cars? And Jeff Burnton would only lose by 9 feet to his brother Ward, who wins the 24th race. Tony Gasworth would start at the pole for the 25th race, where Chick Hicks wrecks 16 cars before Ken Schrader is out because of Eugene Kobareski. Well, of course this happens. And also, Ricky Sludd would almost win the 25th race, but in the end, Tony Gasworth would win the 25th race of 2002. And Bill Racelot would start at the pole of the 26th race, where he's out because of Todd Marcus. Why? But Chick Hicks has an idea. So now Todd Marcus is out a few laps later after Todd Marcus wrecked Bill Racelot because of Chick Hicks. Why? And Ya Chun Fei says that Chick Hicks is not racing the right way, and Chick Hicks would be out because of Manny Flywheel. Hooray! But Murray Cotchburn, working his way up the field, would go on to win the 26th race of 2002. And here are the standings as of the 26th race of 2002.
Remember to press the notifications button, which goes ring, ring, ring after you press it. And lightning strikes back, and that's as if you subscribed, of course. And thank you for watching this entire video.
The only thing I have to say is the 2002 Piston Cup races, 27 to 35, will be out very soon.
KA Bullets YouTube channel.
Hurry up, now tell us why you're here.
Sterling Carlin will start at pole position for the 27th race, where Chick Hicks wrecks 17 cars, including Darren Leadfoot, who says this. And the King would end up being first with 1 to go, but Jeff Corvette would make a last lap pass to win the 27th race. And Rusty Wheelhouse will get the pole for the 28th race, where Brielle Dustfield is now out for the season because of John Hick X, who will be suspended for the rest of the season, Ernie Gearson, would go into the catch fence on lap 186 because of Check X! Why? But Jeremy Carfield didn't crash. Hooray! But Krusty Rotor would be the car that wins the 28th race of 2002. Dale Earnhardt Jr. would start at the pole for the 29th race where Check X accidentally wrecks 15 cars, including Sterling Carlin, who's out for the season, and Jeff Gorvette would only lose by 15 feet to Ryan Newcar, who wins his very first race, the 29th race of 2002. And the King had something to say about Sterling Carlin's season-ending crash. Eugene Kobareski will start at the pole for the 30th race where he's out on the 6th lap because of Ken Schrader. Well, of course this happened, and Check X wrecks 14 cars, and Darren Leadfoot would almost win the 30th race, but he hit the wall, which allows Kurt Busch-Tire to pass him and win the 30th race. His teammate Matt Kenseth will start at pole position for the 31st race where Check X wrecks 17 cars, and now he's out because of Kurt Busch-Tire. Hooray! But Dale Earnhardt Jr. will only lose by 7 feet to the King, and the King will win the 31st race of 2002. Jeff Gorvette will start at pole position for the 32nd race where Check X wrecks 15 cars, but Jeff Gorvette would lead the most laps with 71. Rusty Wheelhouse would almost win the 32nd race, but Jeff Gorvette would bump and run him to win the 32nd race. Billy Oilchanger will start at pole position for the 33rd race where Check X wrecks 16 cars, and somehow Davey Apex jumps over the wreck. How? The King and Dale Carrett would almost win the 33rd race, but they lost to Davey Apex? How? But he gets his first win with the 33rd race of 2002. And what makes it even crazier is that he started in last place! And here is the finish of the 33rd race of 2002. Dale Earnhardt Jr. would start at the pole for the 34th race where James Clean Air would get flipped by Check X! Why? And now he's down a lap because he got a dent. And now Tony Gassworth would only lose by 1 foot to Billy Oilchanger, who wins the 34th race. The King will get the pole for the 35th race where Check X is out on the first lap because of Sammy Smelter. That's really gross. And Darren Leadfoot would lead the most laps with 58. But Johnny Blamer would be out on the last lap. And Chuck Armstrong would go on to win the 35th race of 2002. And these 4 cars can win the Piston Cup this year. It's either we're going to have a new champion or the King will win his 8th Piston Cup. And these 6 cars can't win the Piston Cup this year, but maybe next year. And Kurt Busch-Tire came really close to being mathematically able to win the Piston Cup in 2002.
Remember to press the notifications button, which goes ring, ring, ring after you press it. And lightning strikes back, and that's as if you subscribed, of course. And thank you for watching this entire video.
The 2002 Dynaco 400 will be coming out very soon. And the Christmas-related video will be out after that.
KA Bullets YouTube channel.
Hurry up, now tell us why you're here.
Mark Rhodesley, Tommy Redstop, and Danny Tyerson Jr. will be retiring at the end of the season, and none could qualify for their last race. But Gerald Leadfoot would start at pole position for the Dynaco 400, where Chuck Hicks is third as of the first lap, where he says this, and the leader Gerald Leadfoot, Bill Gears, Kajimo Mikno, Slide Park, and Ruby Easy Oaks are out, but Mark Carton would take the lead on lap 2 and lead to lap 19, where Chuck Armstrong would take the lead from him. He would lead until lap 32, where Moray Clutchburn would take the lead from him. Moray Clutchburn would lead for 5 laps before Todd Marcus is second as of lap 37, where Moray Clutchburn goes airborne! Now, Dale Earnhardt Jr. would take the lead until lap 53, where the King would take the lead from him. The King would lead all the way to lap 96, where Krusty Rotor would take the lead from him. 8 laps later, Chick Hicks is 13th as of lap 104, where he eliminates Krusty Rotor, the leader, Terry Cabani, Johnny Blamer, and Joe Brakecheck were out! And now Bill Racelot will take the lead for 9 laps before he loses the lead to Kevin Carvick. And he'd lead for 7 laps before Jeff Corvette would take the lead from him. Jeff Corvette lead for 50 laps before Ryan Newcar would take the lead from him. Leading for 4 laps before Todd Marcus is 5th as of lap 174, where he eliminates Ryan Newcar and Elliot Draftler. Why? And Jeff Corvette would take the lead from him, leading all the way to lap 204, where Mark Carton would take the lead from him. He'd only leave 4 laps before Bobby Cabani would take the lead from him. And 2 laps later, another green car, actually Darren Leadfoot, would take the lead for 7 laps. Then the other green car, Chuck Hicks, would lead until lap 223, where the King would take the lead from him, leading all the way to lap 258, where Billy Oilchanger would take the lead from him, leading for 2 laps before Chuck Hicks is second as of lap 260, where Ernie Gearson is out and Billy Oilchanger is down 1 lap. And Billy Oilchanger says this to Chick Hicks, and he leads more laps! Why? But Kurt Busch Tire is 4th as of lap 261, where Chick Hicks is out! Hooray! Good job, Kurt Busch Tire. And here is what he had to say. And his car owner, Jack Rush, had this to say about his whole team. Dale Earnhardt Jr. would take the lead for 11 laps before Ken Schrader is 16th as of lap 270, where Eugene Carbareski is out! But Kevin Shiftwright will take the lead for 5 laps, but then he'd lose the lead to Ricky Slood. And Ricky Slood would lead 7 laps before he'd lose the lead to Bobby Cabani. And Bobby Cabani would lead to lap 293, where he'd lose the lead to Rusty Wheelhouse. And Rusty Wheelhouse would lead until lap 307, where the King would take the lead from him. The King would lead all the way to lap 351, where Darren Leadfoot would take the lead from him for 5 laps before Jeff Corvette would take the lead from him. He'd lead 8 laps before Kevin Shiftwright would once again take the lead for 5 laps, where Bill Racelot would take the lead from him, leading to lap 376, where Billy Oilchanger would be back on the lead lap on lap 373. And the King would lead to lap 388 before Tony Gasworth would take the lead for 4 laps before Mark Carton would take the lead from him. He'd lead for 3 laps before the King would take the lead from him. He'd only lead for 3 turns before Billy Oilchanger would take the lead from him. Billy Oilchanger would lead for 2 laps before Tony Gasworth would lead the final 2 laps to win the 2002 Dynaco 400. And most importantly, the 2002 Piston Cup. Tony Gasworth wins the 2002 Piston Cup, making him a first-time champion. Well, of course, this season was going to produce a new champion because, well, the King didn't win it. And Check X is in the top 5 because he ran pretty much the whole season. And Billy Oil Changer also came really close to winning a Piston Cup. Mark Carton gets yet another second place. But Kurt Busch Tire did have a good season, finishing 6th, beating Jeff Gorvette and Ryan Newcar the rookie, who gets a top 10 in his very first season. Kevin Karvik and Murray Clutchburn are outside the top 20 because Kevin Karvik got suspended for a race and Murray Clutchburn keeps being wrecked by Check X! But Dale Carrett is no longer in the top 5. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. finished 13th for some reason. Matt Karzith gets a top 10, but Chuck Armstrong misses out. Ricky Slud has another good season, finishing 18th, with Michael Kartrick just above him. Elliot Draftler had a better season, finishing 23rd. Jeremy Carfield finished 25th. Literally his only saving grace was finishing in the top 10 a few times. Terry Carboni continues to have bad seasons for some reason. Only a few points ahead of Darren Leadfoot, who had a good season, and even Ken Schrader and Eugene Karbareski finished behind Darren Leadfoot. Slide Park kept crashing, which is why he's not in the top 30. Krusty Rotor, exact same reason. But Jeff Burrington isn't in the top 10 anymore, but Bill Racelot did better this season. Kevin Shiftright gets a top 20 once again. Joe Brakecheck and Jerry Nadrive had bad seasons. Same with Ruby Easy Oaks, but that's because Chick Hicks always wrecks him. Sterling Carlin is in 20th after his season-ending crash. He could have easily won the Piston Cup if it weren't for that season-ending crash. And Davey Apex, with his 1 win and 2 top 10s, finishes in the top 40. Who didn't finish in the top 40 was Team Retread, because Hollingus crashed out in the 14th race, and Turner didn't qualify for too many races.
Remember to press the notifications button, which goes ring, ring, ring after you press it. And lightning strikes back, and that's as if you subscribed, of course. And thank you for watching this entire video.
Also forgot to mention that this is the first time that Team Retread had a car that failed to finish in the top 40. That means that every year since 1970 until 2002, a Retread car was somewhere in the top 40. And also, I will only be posting 2 more videos in the year 2020. The Christmas video that will be coming out tomorrow, and the New Year's video that will be coming out on New Year's Eve. The 2003 Florida 500 will be coming out in 2021. Stay tuned for that.